I recall one hot and glorious summer day. A gang of us decided we'd cycle over to Red Rock in Cheadle for the day and get a taste of country living. At Red Rock there was a stream that flowed into the River Mersey, and we could swing across on a rope that hung over it. Just as we were setting off, our mam uttered the dreaded words, "Take Liam with you!" When we got there, we were sitting around chatting and sunbathing. Liam was bored hanging around and wandered off on his own. He slipped on a rock and fell into the stream, which was fairly deep and had a very strong current. Now neither Noel nor myself can swim, and we really panicked because we knew Liam couldn't either. We were frozen, helplessly watching as our little brother was being swept away by the current. Liam's foot got tangled up in some debris in the stream, and he couldn't drag himself out. Luckily our friend Paul Hewitt went straight in and dislodged Liam from his untimely and near-fatal brush with the bottom of that stream. If it hadn't been for Paul Hewitt, Liam wouldn't be here today. Everything was a game to Liam. He was hyperactive. If he was annoying our Noel, he'd just give Liam this look, a stern gaze, drooping his eyebrows. Liam knew then to shut up. I bet Noel wishes he could shut Liam up like that now. My guitar had been gathering dust for a few years, but Noel played all the time. Not to be left out, Liam wanted a guitar, so I let him use mine. The trouble was, Liam didn't stand out enough during his music lessons with just a guitar, so one day he came home and asked our mum to buy him a violin. My mum got herself into debt, buying him a violin for about £35. The most comical thing my mum remembers is a 9-year-old Liam insisting that he go to school with both his violin and guitar, one in each hand, just to show the other kids that whatever they had, he had more. I can't remember any great tunes being scraped on that violin or any catchy melody strummed on that guitar, but Liam kept up his music lessons on the violin until he started at Barlow High. Pretty soon after that, Liam decided he no longer wanted to play the violin as it was sissy. He dumped his guitar for the same reason, also probably because he realised that he'd have to practice to be as good as Noel and decided to be a hooligan instead. Our mum was always on at us not to be so mean with each other. She really did protect Liam, not only from us but also from my dad. She knew the effect our dad had on Noel and me. All the problems with our stammers, my being bullied and constantly whinging, always trying to ingratiate myself with everyone, how quiet and moody Noel was staying up in his bedroom on his own for hours. Liam was spirited and a live wire, and there's no way our man wanted that beaten out of him. Although he was a right pain in the neck, and I know he has his hang-ups and insecurities, he's always had a belief and confidence about his manner that he can thank our mother for giving him. When he was about 9 or 10, I'd have to take him to the Odd Man City match, usually on my mum's orders. At the match he wanted everything. "I'm starving, can I have some chips?" "You just had your dinner. Here you are now, shut up." "Will you get me a programme? Can I have some crisps?" It was cheaper taking a girl out for the night than taking our Liam to the match. When I'd protest to our mum and ask why Noel couldn't take him to the match, she'd say, "Noel's too dopey. He'll start daydreaming and forget Liam's there and love him." When he went to secondary school, he decided he wanted to start putting gel in his hair. He asked me to do it for him. He was that paranoid about his cow's lick showing, I'd have to put about 2 tons of gel on him to slick it down. Then he'd go off to Barlow High like Mr. Cool, with all his hair slicked back like some 1950s throwback. The girls at school all thought Liam was Mr. Cool too. Every morning throughout his secondary school years, there'd be 2, usually 3, but sometimes as many as 5 girls calling for him to walk him to school. I used to answer the door when I was getting ready for work, and there'd be 3 young girls there saying, "Is Liam in? He's dead fit, your brother." Stardom is nothing new to our Liam. He swaggered off to school every morning with his female escorts like God's gift. To help hone his aggressiveness, Liam decided he wanted a punch bag for Christmas. Noel and I were too big for him by then. After beating it to a pulp for a few months, he joined the Ardwick Boxing Club. He was about 12 or 13 years old at the time. It turned into the usual debacle. On one occasion, Liam got gloved up for his first bout of boxing with another 12-year-old at the club. The other kid could box, and our Liam couldn't, which meant that Liam got hit, and Liam hates being hit. Finally, his famous Irish temper, a present from my dad's chromosomes no doubt, just snapped. Liam tore the gloves off his hands and just steamed into the kid he was sparring with, grabbing his hair, punching him, kicking him, literally battering him senseless. By the next day, everyone at his school had heard the story. Liam became the kid not to mess around with. Everyone knew him, and that is exactly what he wanted and expected. The problem is, when you are the undisputed cock of the school, you're expected to get into fights with the hard guys of other schools. It all went rather seriously sour for our Liam when the 3 lads from a rival school, St. Thomas Aquinas, came down to sort him out. One of them pulled out a hammer and smashed it down on Liam's head. Liam just went wild, punching and kicking these three lads until one by one they went down. He looks a right state with blood streaming all over his head, face and clothes, like an extra for some Stephen King splatter movie. All the girls in the school were crying, as Liam was the lad they all fancied, the school heartthrob. He was suspended indefinitely from school, and not for the first time, I might add. After 3 weeks of kicking his heels at home, my mum went and begged them to take him back, which they finally did after making it clear that if he ever stepped out of line again, he would be out. Recently I've noticed Liam becoming more paranoid. He called me up not long ago and asked whether I thought he should get himself checked out in case that hammer blow had caused him any serious long-term damage. I reassured him that he was a mad balmy bastard before he got hit with the hammer. When it comes to the side of his personality that deals with women, our Liam is what people call a babe magnet. Some women do want to mother him, sure, but Liam's all man and he's fun to be with. Girls have always fancied him, and he can even be quite sweet when he wants to be. He can be temperamental, a murder to live with. I think our man would agree with that, but even his ex-girlfriends who've had storming rows and acrimonious splits with still ask after him affectionately. And not just because he's now a pop star. Patsy Kensit seems to have done our Liam good. She's not on a big star trip. She seems plugged into the real world, and my mum is very taken with her. She sees her as a good steadying influence on Liam and admires her for being able to, well, put up with him. Liam's the one who gives Oasis their appeal to the kids, or as one writer put it, Noel is the heart, Liam is the soul and the spirit. But I think in terms of talent he's more than just a pretty face. Although the song he wrote with Bonehead, Take Me, was very similar in style to the Stone Roses, it was a good song, and I'm sure when he can sit still and muse one day, he'll get round to writing some more. If the day comes when Oasis split, Liam will still be a star and have a very successful solo career. Now we move on to Noel. Noel was a likeable if quietish kid, friendly to the last but prone to bouts of moodiness, a trait he's carried on through to adulthood. If anything ever seriously bothered our Noel, he'd never talk about it. He always preferred to keep it to himself. Noel was a total daydreamer. He was always telling stories about what he'd got up to. We were pretty skint as a family at that time, but Noel would spin stories to the kids saying we had this and we had that and we'd done this and we'd done that. At home he tried to steal off to his bedroom and play with my guitar before he got one of his own. He also borrowed a new harmonica our dad had bought, but he couldn't master it, so he never bothered after that. Noel wasn't a nutcase like our Liam. He was always quite shrewd and calculating. Mind you, there was no point in Noel and me being right nutcases when we had mates like Youngie and Paul Hewitt. The fact that our mum and dad were really strict never kept us out of trouble. I think Noel thrived on doing the wrong thing and was never that bothered if he got caught. Looking back now, it was probably partly his way of getting back at me dad, and partly to win back the attention which he'd had off me mum before Liam come along. Noel had a fair few accidents. Once in Ireland when he was about 5 or 6, he tried to ride this big dog like it was a horse. Well, the dog wasn't amused and savaged his arm. He's still got the scars today. The sorriest day I ever felt for Noel was when he was having a go on a makeshift swing at school. It was attached to a tree by ropes and swung out over a steep embankment. Noel was swinging out high and the rope snapped. Noel ended up breaking both his arms. No more guitar playing for a while, but that might have been when he started trying out the harmonica. On another occasion there were 6 or 7 of us kicking a ball about in the local park, using 2 oak trees as the goalposts. Some local bullies decided they'd have a game of darts against the trunk of one of the trees that we were using as goalposts. I stood across for the ball over the goal line and felt a sudden sharp pain at the top of my head. I reached up with my hand and to my horror felt the plastic flight of a dart protruding from my skull. I started to panic. I was standing there asking everyone to remove the dart and everyone was backing off, as if I might explode at any minute. Then our Noel strolled up, cool as you like, and took the offending object out of my sore and bloody head. Noel was in many ways like an older brother. He probably wasn't as daft and impressionable as me. I took great delight when the other kids nicknamed Noel Brezhnev. You know, after the Russian president, famous for his huge bushy eyebrows. The fact that I had the same bushy eyebrows never crossed my mind. Noel's nickname really took off during the 1982 World Cup. Our Noel was 15 at the time. A big 5-a-side tournament was